On the mic, it's a celeb delight. Get your fix of pop culture every night. Ooh, what's happening in Beverly Hills?
All right, let's get into it. So for years, crazy days and nights, CDAN, Enty's playground of speculation, half-truths, and whispered blind items had been dancing dangerously close to the edge when it came to throwing out wild accusation. But few people clapped back quite like Diana Jenkins. That name doesn't immediately ring a bell. Let me remind you, Diana is a successful entrepreneur, philanthropist, and at one point a cast member of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, one that we all love to seem to hate. But more importantly, she was frequently targeted on CDAN with some of the most disturbing and defamatory allegations tied to her name. As I cover in my podcast, Pop Culture Exposé, behind his anonymous lawyer persona and boasted by collaborators like Mr. Him and the favor of his comment section regularly suggested Diana was involved in some incredibly dark underworld dealings. We're talking accusations of schmex trafficking, associations with Jeffrey Epstein, and more, all without a shred of hard proof. And let's be clear, these weren't subtle blinds. In many cases, the post essentially named her outright or included such specific identifiers that it left little to the imagination. It was a clear attempt to paint Diana Jenkins as the villain in a sordid Hollywood tale. And for a while, she stayed quiet until she didn't.
So let's actually get into some of the Diana Jenkins blinds, which are extremely hard to find, and understandably, especially as we hear the fallout of what's to come. But I was able to find it specifically on Lipstick Alley. So let's go over the Lipstick Alley article. It says, from Jezebel, a certain anonymous commenter has become internet famous in the last few weeks by dropping some incredibly detailed, disturbing, and very insidery gossip about Hollywood regarding incest, schmedophilia, and a secret call girl rings that allegedly involve young starlets like Hayden Panettiere and Amanda Bynes in the comments section of a very popular blind item blog. Crazier than what he's saying is who many believe is doing the babbling, Robert Downey Jr., which again I cover in my podcast, Pop Culture Exposé, the whole Robert Downey Jr. myth and all of the details on Mr. Him as well. But let's go on. The blog CDAN, supposedly written by an entertainment lawyer who goes by the handle Enty, has been around for a few years and is known mostly for its blind items and biannual reveals of said blind items that the author rolls out every January 1st and July 4th. But 2 weeks ago, things over there got really juicy. It all started with a particularly sad blind item. And the blind item reads, this former B-list television actress who was on a really big hit network show just a couple of years ago now just seems to float mindlessly and flip between boyfriends. She comes from a broken home and an abusive home. Her dad used to beat her and get into bed with her. Her mom just let it happen because she was beaten herself and did not want to provoke. Well, now the actress, who's still very young, only seems to date boyfriends who are abusive and willing to hit her. Her last boyfriend, former A-list athlete with B-list name recognition, was so scared that he would unalive her if he broke up with her. Her new celebrity boyfriend does not punch nearly as hard, but seems to love it, probably getting out of his anger because he's closeted. That was the blind. The article goes on to say, many immediately guessed the actress to be Hayden Panettiere. Her mother had actually pressed charges against her father for battery before filing for divorce last year. Also, Hayden's ex-boyfriend is a boxer, hence the punch wordplay. The mention of abuse and molestation made the blind item pretty dark, but things got even darker in the comments section when the prolific CDAN commenter, Mr. Him, who again I speak about, chimed in with some various serious accusations. So in one comment, this is what Mr. Him, the man who we found out to be Tally Griffin, a fraud with no Hollywood connections, went on to say in the comments section. And this was probably one of the most popular posts in CDAN history. So he goes on to say, so here goes. Yes, this is Hayden. 100% totally. I know this for a fact. The wording of this item is not 100% correct, which may be intentional to deny it legally, but it's close. But there's far more to this than is being mentioned, revealed, or even hinted at. For all of you Google sleuths out there, just look up the past news stories about her dad getting arrested on domestic issues, then her mom dropping it. It's not just about a fight, snack, or basic domestic issues. It's about sexual perversions, videotapes, witnesses, and the loss of money and fame. I am former personal friend of a woman named Diana Jenkins. Bullshit. Side note. Doubt you know her, but she's a Rosetta Stone of every scandal and perversion from Hollywood all over the globe. She's an uber wealthy divorcee who hubby ran UK's Barclays Bank, and she ran the Arab investors for the bank. She's been running a high-class call girl, party girl ring for Arabs, Wall Street, DC, royals, and Hollywood elites. She's also a major philanthropist, arts supporter, political donor, and social hostess to everyone. Her best Hollywood pals include Sean Penn, Clive Davis, Ari Emanuel, George Clooney, Cindy Crawford, and her little pets named Hayden. Diana is the connector of wealthy Arabs and Asians and athletes and Hollywood actresses, models. She is also a sick and twisted bitch. When Hayden and her own mommy were on the outs, Diana Jenkins took that place in her life by Hayden's choice. Leslie P. is just a poor victim in this train wreck. Trust me. She's at least 50%, if not more, responsible for encouraging, enabling, and at times even participating in her hubby's twisted effing life. Leslie kinks cross the line into depravity, illegality, and inhumane sickness, as in Ryan O'Neal, John Phillips, Tish Cyrus, and Dan Schneider territory. Far worse than Pimpa Joe Simpson. She's not just had chances to stop it or walk away with the kids, but she elected to not protect her kids and give in to the hedonistic sickness in her bedroom, all for her own greed. You think Dina Lohan is bad? Leslie's guilt is compounded by trying to save her daughter's image, so not to affect her potential earnings, and hovering her own mountain of drugs, booze, fame, and effing of everything with legs. Leslie is as bad as her hubby, maybe even worse, because she knew it was wrong, but didn't stop it, and at times fueling it. It's easy to argue that Hayden is forever a victim, which drives her own insane life choices. And I'm not a psychologist, but she has taken it further into becoming a willing perpetrator of it and saying she loves it. Not just the physical and the mental violence she enjoys, but her insatiable appetite for the most bizarre shit she can indulge in to top herself. She was offered help by someone who genuinely cared for her and worried for her. She mocked them and tore off on her own streak. Now she craves it and considers nothing taboo. Nothing. Just ask Mario Lopez. Right, Enty? So that was the massive long comment he did in the section of Crazy Days and Nights for that Hayden Blinds. And Lipstick Alley goes on to say, and that's just the half of it. The blind item of him's comments about Diana Jenkins' secret call girl ring got picked up by Celebrity Gossip Live Journal Forum. Oh no, they didn't. But things got even darker and more accusatory in the comments section of that post that the moderators locked it. Supposedly, commenters had taken hints dropped by him in past posts and began making some allegations about the sexual perversions of the actor turned Nickelodeon producer Dan Schneider, and implications that Diana Jenkins' table book Room 23 is actually a catalog of clients and call girls. But the commenters were mostly concerned with figuring out who him is. Initially, they thought it was a Hollywood insider, producer type named Tally Griffith, a descendant of J.W. Griffith and Andy Griffith. He really wasn't. But him found out about their guesses, denied it, and gave some background about his commenting account. That was who he was, Tally Griffith. Here's the him deal, he says. Many years ago, this account was started by 4 guys that worked together that deep dive in the business. I'm not even going to go into reading what he posts because it's a lie. It was one guy, and Enty continued to stroke it. But the general consensus, Lipstick Alley goes on to say, is that him is Robert Downey Jr. because most of the things him revealed about himself, namely that he is once a mess and nearly destroyed his own Hollywood career, but has gotten back on track and since sober. That's the reason why they thought it. But this just really continued to spin and spin and spin. And then later on, Enty decided to share a post of, I think it was Donald Trump, Epstein, and someone that looked like Diana Jenkins, but was not, and try to believe that she was connected to all of it, but proven to be false.
In 2023, Diana Jenkins filed a defamation lawsuit. She had enough. And can we blame her? This woman had been accused of some of the most serious and reputation-destroying crimes imaginable.
Giving me Bridget Bardell vibes.
Yes. Look at with his hair. Have you guys seen her book, Room 23?
No! It's really sexy.
So beautiful, this book.
What is it? Tell me.
Diana, do you want to tell the story about the book?
Yeah. I feel like they have.
She did the beautiful book called Room 23.
That's the one you were in.
Yes, so that was my book.
It's such a sex positive, woman positive.
Yeah.
I was in there, it was like everybody's naked, and I was like,
Tell us again.
we forget things. I feel like we had this conversation. I don't particularly want to talk about the book tonight because it took a lot of money, a lot of time to achieve what I did, but it backfired.
Ready to order?
All these rumors started. It was like a offense of my character.
You're not like an international sex trafficker and madam of high-class prostitutes. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It's honestly so ridiculous that I can't even believe that actually it could have caught on.
Did you think that, that she didn't want to talk about the book?
Yeah.
Oh, she's
She said, I think you had it. It's very, very dangerous. All you need to do is leak a bunch of fake rumors and you can actually destroy somebody's life. It was just a very painful time. But truth revealed. Everybody knows now.
And all by a man who was lying about being a high-powered Hollywood lawyer and another man who was pretending to be a bullshit Hollywood insider. Here's what's wild though. The moment that the lawsuit became public, Enty went silent on her. Not only did the post slow down, but commenters who used to sling unfiltered accusations were suddenly cautious. Some deleted entire Reddit threads. His Patreon got suspiciously quiet on Diana-related content. The lawsuits didn't just shake Enty, it rattled the CDAN community. Because if someone like Diana Jenkins, with real money, power, legal savvy, could push back, who else might? Even more telling, as we've mentioned, is Mr. Him, Tally Griffith, was rumored to be the key source for many of those Diana blinds. And this was right around the time his online presence began to fade and the cracks were forming. And here's what's important to listeners to understand. This wasn't just about gossip. CDAN crossed the line from celebrity whispers into dangerous territory. When you accuse someone of crimes like human trafficking, and especially publicly and repeatedly, you aren't just being messy, you're being reckless and potentially liable. And Enty, he played dumb. He claimed he didn't write the post himself. He leaned on the crowdsourced excuse. But you can't build an empire off of the blind items and then pretend you're not responsible for what gets posted on your own site. The Diana Jenkins saga is a key turning point. It marks one of the first moments where a target fought back, and not just with a denial, but with the full weight of legal action. It exposed Enty's pattern, throw the stone, then hide his hand. So let's fast forward to the aftermath of the chaos between Crazy Days and Nights and Diana Jenkins. After years of being dragged through the digital mud with some of the most damaging and vile accusations, ranging from being a madame to being connected to Epstein-level darkness, Diana said absolutely
is shutting down
not.
rumors that she had any affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, the cease and desist letters that she just sent out. Housewives of Beverly Hills star Diana Jenkins is on the defense, trying to protect her reputation from rumors swirling that she had ties to Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring. So according to page 6, a person close to Jenkins said, quote, "She wants to end these lies about Epstein and being a madame." They went on to say, quote, "Right now she's really focused on shutting down all that's been said about her, and her attempts to shut them down include sending a series of cease and desist letters to podcasters, bloggers, publications, even former housewife Dana Wilkie." Now, page 6 obtained the documents which show that Diana's attorney demanded that Wilkie retract a series of allegations that were made in a YouTube post last year. In that post, according to page 6, Dana accused Diana of being a madame who, quote, "sex trafficked young women across continents and connected celebrities with prostitutes, among other nefarious claims." Diana's attorney writes in the letter to Dana, quote, "I write to demand that you immediately remove these false and defamatory statements and issue notices acknowledging that you had no factual basis for any of the statements and implications made about Miss Jenkins." Now, Diana vehemently denies these allegations, writing on her Instagram that she will not sit back and allow people to smear her name. She writes, quote, "I have instructed my lawyers to take whatever action is necessary to remove these false statements and to pursue justice from those who have been spreading lies about me." And apparently
And
the
with
first
that
batch of
defamation lawsuit in 2023, his name wasn't revealed, but it marked a pivotal moment because she did win her case. It marked one of the first times that someone with real power, influences, and resources actually came for him legally. But here's where it gets interesting. Enty, he tried to fight, but he couldn't really fight it. Instead, the case ended up in a settlement, which is pretty telling. No trial, no big court showdown, at least one that he would like, because he loves trying to duke it out in court. Why? Because going to court would have meant discovery, and that would have meant pulling back the curtain on everything. His identity, his sources, his site's real income, his relationships. It would have blown his whole charade wide open. So he backed down. And as a part of the settlement, he had to issue a public apology, admit the information was false, and permanently remove the content. He also agreed to never post about Diana Jenkins again. Well, that was a lie. He has since then. It was one of the most public gut punches to the credibility of Crazy Days and Nights. A reminder that when you push too far with lies, someone will eventually push back with lawyers. And for Enty, this wasn't just a legal loss. It was the beginning of the unraveling. And if you thought that this was explosive, in the next segment, we get into the relationship between Enty, aka John Nelson, and Cassandra Cross. Behind every shady media manipulator is a person who finally says, enough is enough. And Cassandra, she didn't just walk away, she blew the whole thing wide open. Stay tuned and make sure to check out my podcast and other YouTube channel, Pop Culture Exposé. Until next time.
Tune into the buzz, it's the talk of the day. From Bravo shows to the latest celeb spree, we've got the tea, come sip it with me. Dani, gossip, girl, pop culture expose. We're spilling all the